It's Friday the 19th of July 1998. Robert said, Daddy, I've got a nice new science book.
But I haven't got it in my bedroom with me.
But you can remember what's in it.
Yeah.
And what's the
And
most
the
interesting thing in
properties
it?
of elements.
Robert said, when I grow up I want to discover a new element. And I'm going to call it Robertium. What will it be like?
And it will have... RO will stand for it.
RO for Robertium.
Robertium.
And it will be the strongest,
What will I be?
shiniest metal.
What will I be?
Well, Emma said I'm going to discover one as well.
Discover what?
Element.
What's an element?
Some kind of chemical. Is it made up of other chemical? It will be called Emeraldium.
What's it do?
Well, Emeraldium is very strange material.
It's all green.
It's green and it's quite bouncy, but it's very strong.
And you can blow bubbles with it and eat chewing gum with it.
What's different about it is it can be a liquid, a solid and a gas, more or less at the same time.
So could my one. Mine was also the strongest metal when it was solid and the weakest stuff when it was liquid. When it was gassy, and the ruddiest ever when it was liquidish. And when it was all three, it was a few dots of very, very, very strong metal, dots of less tiny dust ever, and then a few drops of the very densey water when it's flowing fast.
Well, what was good about Robertium was it could change phase, and it didn't even need to put any energy in it. It would suck the energy out of where it was, use any energy that was nearby, and could turn back whenever it wanted to. It could be used for storing energy,
Yeah.
and using up energy, and creating energy when you need it. In fact, it was a sort of energy bank.
How
It was rather
famous
like
do you
a
think I would
battery.
be just inventing
When
that?
Robert invented that, he thought, well, that's an interesting thing it does, but what can I use it for? What would it be useful for?
Daddy, can we do an experiment that they're doing in America? Get a laser beam and sort of a plated metal thing, like a plumb line is that big with the bottom cut off so it's only this tall, and then get a laser beam and there's a little space in there, and you heat it up so that it gets so hot, up to 300 degrees on top of minus, and then boom, it goes like a rocket. And with a stronger laser, it with not quite a strong laser beam, it goes about 90 feet with the height of it.
Does it? So it uses a laser to push it along?
But it just uses up the energy. But if you had a stronger laser beam, it would have got out thousands of feet.
Well, Robertium was the ideal thing for this. Of course, we'll come to Emeraldium, but what Robertium could do was it could store energy in whatever form you put it in. So if you shone a laser beam at it, it would absorb the laser beam, and then you could carry around the Robertium, and when you wanted to, all you had to do was put a little bit of squeeze onto the Robertium and the laser beam would shoot out again. So it was useful for making laser guns, because you could charge them up with a big laser and then carry them around and shoot laser beams when you wanted. But it was even more useful for making batteries out of. Of course, you could put lots of electricity into Robertium and it would store it all until you needed it. And when you needed it, you just gave it a little squeeze, the electricity would come out. So it was very useful for rechargeable tools and battery-powered radio control.
And everything was
like
free.
that.
And I sold
Never wore
it.
out.
And when I invented it, how much money do you think I got? And it was I also invented one called XEFA, a very long one, I know it doesn't stand for it, but I just chose any letters for one that was. What was it again?
It's EFA.
But what was I thinking of?
Ah, you've forgotten it.
Yeah.
It
Because
was Forgetium.
I invented that with F.
Well, Robert had invented a compound called xenon fluoroarsenide, which
What
was
was that?
XEFA. No one had ever thought of that chemical compound before. It could do lots of things.
Oh, I know it. MOT was it what it was, and it was a molecule. No, AMOT, and it was a molecule of time.
Oh, a molecule of time. When Robert
That's what I was
invented
thinking of.
a molecule of time.
And I also used Robertium.
Well, that was Robert's
And
biggest.
I put them both together and put them in a little box, and all the other ideas that I had for making a time machine, and a few others that I agreed with from other people, which was only one, which was second best in the world,
What was
which
that one?
wasn't very good. It was John.
Well, shall I tell you how Robert invented the time machine?
And then I put a little switch in, just an ordinary light switch with a few electric wires, and I put an on and off one, and a little dial with just the same wires. And then I just dialed what time I wanted to go at that.
And the Robertium.
And I just went.
Robert's best idea was, he thought the Robertium can store whatever you put into it, whatever energy you put into it, and his best idea was, I wonder if it can store time. And Robert said, how would I get it to store time?
And I
If I
would.
just leave it somewhere, it's constantly absorbing the time. And I wonder if I squeezed it in the right way, it would let the time out again. So what experiment did you do?
I tried it. I put it in a very long room that always sucked in time for a whole year, and then I put it in, I dropped it in without letting any time out, and then I just switched the lid on, and it stored all the time, so there was absolutely no time left in it. And then another year was in, and no time left in it, and it still hadn't been squeezed. And then I put it in my time machine, and it was on a little peg, and whenever you wanted to do it, you just squeezed it.
Squeeze it.
And it would stop when you wanted it
Yes,
to.
just squeeze it just hard enough. And when you squeezed it, the time came out and went quicker. So Robert thought, I found a way. But then he thought, how do I know that it's really absorbing the time in the room? How do I know the time isn't just washing over it like everything else? Then he had an idea. He said, I'll put things in the room that are happening, and then I'll leave the Robertium in there. And if I come back and they still haven't finished happening, that will show that it's used up the time. So Robert put the Robertium in the room, and he threw a ball in the air to quickly shut the door. He came back the next morning, and when he opened the door, the ball fell to the ground. And he thought that experiment proves that the Robertium used up the time when the door was shut, so the ball was stuck in mid-air. It wasn't until I opened the door that the time carried on. Time flowed into the room and things carried on happening. So he said, oh, that's it, I've definitely invented a way of storing time.
And I went to the Prime Minister and showed him the experiment. And do you think, even though it was only two I invented, I was suddenly really, really, really famous.
That was one of the most famous scientific things that had ever been invented, but it still wasn't quite enough for building a time machine that worked and you could come back in. You could definitely store the time and go forwards quickly.
But
But Robert still hadn't found a way of coming back in time.
what if I invented
And the Robertium
Robertium?
Well, Robert had a good idea.
What if I invented Robertium and it could and it could suck it up from when you gave the other one a squeeze, Robertium, then it would just suck it into. When you second gave it a squeeze, it would suck it. The Robertium would suck it out of there and into there and back it all up to where you were.
That was a good idea, but the Robertium didn't work very well, and then Emerald came along and said,
It worked very well.
Have you tried Emeraldium? I think that would be useful in a time machine. It doesn't suck time in, but it's very bouncy and strong.
But I put it in and it was absolutely useless.
But then Emerald said, no, this is what you have to do. The Emeraldium is good for keeping time out of things. Of course, it's so hard and bouncy that it's time-proof. Any time that comes along will just bounce off it. Robert thought, yes, that could be useful in my time machine. I'll just have to work out how to use it.
And I put it in, I worked it out, and it was still useless.
All right, said Emerald, you have been able to work it out how to use my Emeraldium. So we will have a competition and see who builds a working time machine first.
And I built one immediately with forwarding and Robertium. And then I just built it in 1 minute.
Robert built it in 1 minute, but Emerald was even cleverer. She got some Emeraldium sheet and wallpapered the room, the walls of her room with it, and shut the door. And that kept the time out.
But it would take ages to wallpaper it.
But soon, the first bit she put on was on the door, and she hid behind that and just reached round and put more on. That kept the time out while she was doing it. And it took her 3 weeks to build a time machine out of Emeraldium. And Robert thought, I won when he'd only built his in 1 minute. But the thing was, while Emerald was building it, all the Emeraldium had kept the time out. So although she was very tired, after seeing to her that 3 weeks had gone by, she opened the door and no time had gone past at all. So she even beat Robert because he'd taken a minute. I'm ready, Emerald said, but we've only just started. And Emerald said, but I'm really tired, I've been building it for 3 weeks. But in a time-proof room. And I said, invented the time-proof room.
And I said, that's cheating. And I had won. I built it in absolutely no seconds. Because I had even stronger bouncy time stuff with Robertium. And it bounced off any time or any finger. Just like,
yeah, Robert had invented the bounciest material in the world. Which is Robertium.
And I bounced all the time.
It was so bouncy that when you mixed it with Robertium that stored energy and made a ball that would bounce higher every time it bounced instead of less. So if you only dropped it a bit, it would go ba-doing, 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 until it eventually punched a hole in the ceiling.
When would it ever stop?
Well, the only time it stopped was when it eventually bounced off into space. It never came down again. Robert said, I've invented a new way of sending things into space. He said, all I have to do is put some Robertium in the bottom of a rocket. It will bounce the rocket into space.
And it'll never come down.
So he said, I'll just try that. He thought, shall I get in the rocket? He thought, no, it's safer to build a rocket with nobody in it first, just to see what happens. So he built a rocket, put some Robertium into the bottom of it.
12 million tons of it. And I just dropped it from here with a big crane. And then it pulled up the crane and went went boing, 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 boing.
And it soon bounced off into space, but the trouble was, all that bouncing broke the rocket to pieces. All the bits came floating down. Robert said, well, that didn't quite work properly.
But I had placed some Robertium with it.
Very carefully mixed it with Robertium, so instead of bouncing hard, it would just gradually float down and float up again. And Robert said, I'm getting there, but it's still a bit boring. It has to bounce down to the ground all the time. I want something that just goes straight up.
And I invented some Robertium.
No, this is where the Emeraldium was useful again.
The Robertium.
Because it was so good at keeping things out. You could keep gravity out. So Emerald said, yes.
And I barged open the door and it all came in.
Some of the wallpaper fell off, and Emerald ran to the door and accidentally stood on the wallpaper. While she was standing on it, it kept all the gravity off her. So she started to float up, and she realised that she'd invented the flying car. It's made of emeraldium, and the way it worked was by keeping the gravity off anything that was on it.
Like emerald.
So Emerald and Robert came.
It wouldn't work because it would keep emerald off. She'd bounce off it.
Oh well, she had to wear. She had to handle that, so she could hold on.
It's too strong. Because you said it's very, 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 very strong.
It is strong.
I'm not scared of.
Well, Robert and Emerald became the most famous scientists in the whole
I
history
was
of the
even
world.
more. Here's the end of the tape. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.